All right, says we're live. How's it going this evening, everybody? Oh, what do we got here? Get one of these ticker thingy bobs going. So, tonight's subject: uh, the correlation between food addiction, uh, obesity, mental health, blah blah blah. Buddy of mine and I were talking about this, and he says I should do this as a subject. So, he either thinks I have a food addiction, I'm a fat bastard, or I'm mentally disturbed. I think it's probably a combination of a couple of them, anyhow. So, but it's a good subject. I don't think enough people really understand the correlation between it. As I'm going to share some information and some pictures here, but we've seen these before. I used to be quite big and lost a whole bunch of weight, and there's definitely reach over and turn that off. There's definitely a correlation in how you feel about yourself and your diet and what you're eating. That I know. I'm not a doctor. I can't see any scientific evidence, but my anecdotal says tells me everything I need to know. But kind of simple here. Put the old guy specs on so I can actually see. And let's do that. That one. There. Share that. So, I don't know. Personally, I don't think it's too hard to look at this and determine, I'm clearly, even though I'm smiling on the left, I'm clearly much happier on the right. So there's definitely a correlation as far as I'm concerned in the way that you feel and, mental health and food and your diet and all that crap. How you eat can affect how you feel a lot. So how I did that, because I get people ask me about it quite often. How did you lose the weight? Let's go back a little bit before that. So years ago, I had an accident at work. It was a hard time, and I dealt with a lot of mental health issues at the time. A lot of feelings of guilt, some hard times, and I was put on antidepressants, or as I like to joke and call them at the time, my happy pills, because they were really the only way I could get through the day. And they're not really happy pills. They don't make you feel happy. In fact, they kind of make you feel nothing. You feel numb to the world. And with that, the only thing that actually felt any good was good tasting food. So because of that, I ate more and I gained a lot of weight, which is how I ended up looking like that. It was over a period of time and years. That, the only thing that made me comfortable and feel good at the time was food, because the SSRIs, they just mess with your brain chemistry altogether. So you don't feel anything. At least personally, that's how I found. You're almost like the, what do they call it? The non something player. I'm not a gamer guy, but non-participating player or whatever the hell, NPC. I don't remember what it stands for. Anyhow, that's largely what it feels like. You kind of feel like your body is up here and you're back behind it, watching everything in slow motion. You don't move as quickly as the world does around you. It's a very bizarre feeling. So, like I said, the only thing that felt good at the time was eating. So, I ate stuff that felt good or that tasted good and made me feel good and made me a fat bastard. So, there's definitely mental health issues. The way you feel is certainly tied into how we eat, how we feel when we eat, how it makes us feel. It's, they say that comfort food makes you feel better, and there's some stuff to that. So I did a bunch of research on this, and ironically, some of it was hard to find, and some of it was even buried. By the way, I do know I have some people that want to talk about this, so I'm going to drop the join link in right early here. So if anybody wants to come in and talk on this subject, and being that it is the subject that it is, mental health, there is the aspect of some people don't want to come out about it publicly. So if you want to come on and you want to remain anonymous, when you come into StreamYard, you can choose what name you put in that people actually see. Just do me a favor, come into the green room with your camera on so I can actually see who you are, so I know that you're a real person. I'll give you a heads up warning before you come on if you don't want to be exposed, and you can turn your camera off and have a fake name up and we can talk. And then that way, if you want to come forward with something you don't really want to share, publicly as yourself, you're protected that way. So I dropped that join link right away here. Yeah. So anyhow, like I said, did a bunch of research on this, and the International Journal of Eating Disorders back in January 21 did a study, and their thing is food addiction is highly prevalent among individuals with mental disorders, especially those with eating disorders, personality disorders, and food addiction may be an important target for efforts aimed at reducing obesity among individuals with mental disorders. So there's a whole lot of studies on this that kind of back it up. There's another one that was done in June of 2019 from the Wiley Online Library. I found a crap load just doing some research on this. So we're at the time of the year where life gets difficult. Pressures are on. We're in a state where the economy is kind of rough. Inflation, it's getting harder to make ends meet. It's Christmas time, holiday season, got to buy presents and all the pressures of all this sort of stuff. Pressures and stress build this time of the year. And it's also the time of the year where we eat too much. So they kind of go hand in hand of covering each other up. So it's kind of why I wanted to bring this up, draw a little bit of attention to it. And maybe it's something you've got going on and you might not even be aware, but sometimes we're not aware of things, but when somebody points it out and you see it, you can look at it and find it in yourself and realize, oh, there's maybe something I need to do about this. That's kind of what I'm about. We all go through it. We all go through ups and downs in life. Good times, bad times, and that affects us, affects the way we eat. So, what was my order here for pages? Oh, there we go. So there was what was a study? Association between obesity and psychiatric disorders in the U.S. population. And they found a large correlation. This one, big word I'm having a hard time saying. Epidemiological data suggests an association between obesity and depression, but findings vary across the study and suggest a stronger relationship in women than men. I'd love to continue on that, but this is YouTube and I don't want to get banned. Look around in today's society and you can kind of see some of this. Anyhow, so I've got some people coming in here. Just going to get through a couple things and then I'll get to you guys. Okay. One of the studies that I found that was really quite interesting was done in Australia. Something that they found was people with mental health issues average a lifespan that's 15 years shorter. And it's mainly because the poor diet leads to diabetes and other health complications. Well, if we look at that, we can reverse engineer that, because if you have a poor diet, you don't take care of yourself very well, and you eat like crap, that's going to lead to being overweight, not being able to move, not being active. When you can't move and you're not active, it's difficult to feel good about yourself. It goes back to the whole brain chemistry thing. Back when I was on the SSRIs, I made a conscious decision to get off of them because I didn't like the way that I felt. I didn't like the NPC aspect of life. It was just a weird place to be. And if you're on these, it's difficult to get off of them. Be careful if you're going to do it. Doctors are going to tell you not to, and they're going to make it difficult. This is kind of one of those things when they get you on, they want you on it for life because it's easier to control you. And that was what I was finding, which is why I wanted to get off, because I didn't like the fact that I was being controlled externally. Uh, I was very easily influenced and manipulated when I was on them. I didn't like that. I'm a very free spirit, and believe that people should be in control of themselves, their own autonomy. And when you're on these things, it's difficult to be in control of yourself. It's difficult to not be manipulated and pushed and coerced into directions you don't want to go. So I made a very conscious effort to do this. And when I did, it was a hard time and a big shock to the system. And I noticed that even though I didn't feel like I was controlled anymore externally, so to speak, the bad eating habits over the years, the weight that I'd put on, I still didn't feel very good. I still generally wasn't very happy. And I still to this day deal with and fight depression on a constant basis, ongoing basis. I'm very good at handling it now. I've learned how to control some things. We'll get into some of that. I've learned how some things affect me. And there's ways to figure this out in yourself, which will help you if you want to get off of this shit. And I will literally use the word shit because that's what they are. So if you want to get off of this shit and get your life back, there's a bit of a way to learn what effects certain things have on you. And you can help yourself with that. So anyhow, they did a study in Australia, and they had two separate groups. And on the one group, they did the what they call the normal or the usual treatment with SSRIs and psychologists. Basically coddled the way they do with most people nowadays. When they're dealing with difficult times and mental health issues. The other group, they tried a lifestyle program where they encouraged proper diet, exercise, and group activity. So basically bonding with other people. And the results were dramatically different. I was quite shocked by the results. 75% of the usual care group put on a significant amount of weight. And by significant amount of weight, they didn't have an actual number like weight or percentage, but they showed pictures of the groups. Holy shit. Like it was massive compared to only 13% of the lifestyle group putting on weight, and only 2 people in the lifestyle group put on significant weight. So properly controlling your diet, taking control of yourself, can affect your mood, how you feel, which will affect how active you are, which then is going to affect how heavy you get and all that stuff. This whole thing is a correlation effect. So that was pretty crazy, that study I found. So then we kind of get into food addiction. And food addiction is a bitch because unlike alcohol, tobacco, drugs, whatever the case may be, you can get off of that crap and continue on with life. We have to eat. That's at the end of the day, if you have a food addiction, it's a bitch because you have to eat to live. So suffering from an addiction to food, especially highly palatable foods, which are rich in fat, sugar, salt, blah, 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 trigger chemical reactions in the brain that induce feelings of pleasure and satisfaction. I'll read that again. Foods that are rich in fat, sugar, and salt trigger chemical reactions in the brain that induce feelings of pleasure and satisfaction. So when your head isn't straight, you're having a hard time, and you're eating like shit, you feel better. But you really don't. So it triggers the brain. This is the whole chemistry thing. And part of the study that they had, it links back to this study in Australia, which is why I brought that up, was one of the things they found is there was actually a correlation between the gut health, the biological hormone level or the biological level in the intestines and the stomach with brain chemistry. And they found that the people who ate healthier, because their gut bacteria was healthier and in better shape, their brain chemistry was much better than the people who were on SSRIs. Imagine that. The ones who were on the drugs to suppress this stuff weren't in as good a shape as the people who were eating properly and exercising a little bit and doing activities with groups and around other people. So there's a big correlation based on that. I'm not a scientist, so we can't actually say this, but to me, that's pretty definitive proof right there. But the reaction was compared to an addict's response and their substance choice as a a reward center in the brain. Um, so yeah, like I say, food addiction can be a bit of a bitch. And I used to be addicted to bad foods. Well, I think I was anyhow. I certainly ate like crap all the time. Lifestyle and job didn't exactly help it, but was what it was. But some symptoms that you may be addicted to food are gouging in more food than you can normally tolerate, uh, going out of your way to obtain certain foods, eating in secret, in isolation, avoiding social interactions. Just kind of running through, glossing over some of these. Difficulty concentrating. Going to get to that in a bit. Sleep disorders, such as insomnia and oversleeping, restlessness, irritability, headaches, and digestive disorders. And then this one we can't say. So how do we say this? Well, I'm a guy, I like cars. You know the cool doors that open the wrong way? A symptom of food addiction is those kind of doors, cool doors. We'll call it that. So one of the biggest things that helped me to get over this and to stop this is that I finally came to a point where I realized food is fuel and nothing more. So if you can wrap your head around that concept and keep telling yourself this, that all food is an energy source. It doesn't always have to taste good. And if you're constantly chasing the taste good, you're satisfying things that aren't necessarily the fuel situation. So just remember that whenever you're eating or you want to have something is, do you actually need this fuel source? What do you need it for? Do you need that much? When you look at it like that, it becomes a lot easier to manage and monitor and control, and get yourself to that place. One thing about it, if you obsess about food, use that to your advantage. Obsess about it in a positive way. Get yourself a food scale and weigh everything out. You don't have to learn everything there is to know about macros and stuff like that. It's really not that hard anyhow. But you start weighing it out, measuring and portioning stuff out, and become somewhat obsessive, whatever you want to call it with that. Keep everything in order. It's very easy to keep yourself on track. And one thing about it that I found personally anyhow, is eating the proper amount of food, fuel, the calories and macros. You're always in a slight state of hunger. You're never starving, but there's always that kind of a bit of an edge. And I've been able to maintain a pretty average, consistent weight for several years now. And so how I went about it to lose all the weight that I did originally, I kind of broke it down and decided I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I went on essentially a carnivore diet, basically. So I was eating literally nothing but protein and fat sources, and that was it. And I had consistent fasting involved in that. And by doing this and monitoring my calories, by doing this, wiping out the sugar, after about 2 weeks, I think it was around 2 weeks, somewhere in that neighborhood, it was hard as hell at first. It was literally like going through withdrawal. But after coming out of the sugar high of all that, and literally it's an addiction. Sugar is a freaking addiction. It's brutal. But coming out of that, it was literally like a brain fog was lifted. The amount of mental clarity and focus that I had once I got past that point was amazing. And from there, it just made doing this easier because I realized the effect it was having on me. And once I realized that effect and was then in control of it, I was never going to let this take control of me again. And so in order to lose that much weight and do what I did, I literally went 16 months nonstop on my strict diet, which at the time wasn't necessarily a real diet. It was just, I only ate fat and protein and that was it. Nothing else. I ate no carbs because I kind of found out that my body doesn't work very well on carbs. So I eat very little carbs. And you're going to be the same way or different, however you may be. But the one thing that I found by doing this is I ate not the exact same thing, but like food in the same macro groups consistently for a long enough period of time that I became my own control group, kind of like a science experiment, where I went long enough eating that I knew exactly what this did for me. And I could change something and I could actually watch the change. I could introduce something else for 2 weeks and I could feel the change. I could see the change. I could literally see and feel what it did to me. So I went, like I said, I went 16 months. I think I had 1 or 2 cheat meals in 16 months. That was it the entire time. And I was at a friend's place, to a friend's place for a pre-Christmas guys party. And I wasn't drinking any alcohol during all this time. So I had pizza and 2 7-Up hanging out at the shop with the boys that night. Holy shit, did that affect me. The crash of the sugar after being off of it for that long was incredible. And I've basically completely cut sugar out of my life ever since then. And this has drastically affected my mood, how I feel. I'm much more alert. I don't have the brain fog. And when I start to eat like crap, if I do it for a couple of days, I can literally feel the change. So when you put yourself on a baseline, when you realize that food is fuel and you eat consistently for a long time and you have this baseline, you can feel it within a day of the changes and realize what it's done to you. And when you do that, you'll quickly learn what works for you and what doesn't. Personally, I have found that if I eat more than about 25% of my calories and carbs, or I introduce sugar, I get, I lose my mental clarity. I lose sharpness. I lose my focus. I lose my ambition level a lot. Ironically, you'd think sugar would give you more. For me, it kills it personally. And you may be different. Find out for yourself. But for me, this is a big thing I noticed. So when I did this, I could literally play around and see how things worked for me. And I found what foods actually make me feel good. Like not just, oh, this tastes really good, so I'm going to feel good and eat it. No, I mean actually feel good over a long period of time and actually affect my mood, affect my overall well-being, my general happiness level, my ambition, drive, all of it, will to succeed, all that crap. So if you really want to take control of yourself and this sort of things, I highly recommend doing this for yourself. And it's not hard to do. It's boring as shit. Like if you look at my meal plan, it's simple. It's 1 page. Because what I'm going to have for lunch tomorrow is the exact same thing as I had for lunch today, the same thing as I had for lunch yesterday. It's boring, but at the end of the day, food is just fuel. And I'm now at the point I can control it and know what it does to me. When I eat like this consistently 6 days out of the week, I can go out on the 7th day, go out on Saturday night. I can literally eat whatever I want. And my diet is clean enough that this doesn't really affect me. I might feel a little bit of drag if I have something that's got a lot of sugar in it or something like that. But because of this, my weight stays consistent. My effort and ability, the ability to go to the gym, work out, put on muscle, feel good is just consistent as hell. And so is my mood. So is my ambition level, all of this stuff. So this is a big thing. If you want to learn how to take control of your life is do exactly that, is take control of it. It will help you with everything. It'll help you with your mood, happiness, the whole 9 yards. So, got a couple of guys here in the chat. So, got cameras turned off, but I've seen them. I know who they are. So let's bring in Tony. How are you doing, Tony? You have no audio.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yep.
All right, sweet. How's it going, brother? Doing good?
Really good. Yourself?
I was listening to you, and I was kind of the opposite. And I'm over here eating fucking nachos with jalapenos and some chicken and drinking an energy drink.
Those energy drinks are a bitch.
Yeah, well, it's amino energy with electrolytes. Just replenishing from today. We
Yeah.
were out in the mountain gathering some firewood. Um,
Yep.
and I don't just get a truckload. I get like a trailer load. Kind of got stuck, so burned some extra calories while doing that. So just had
Yeah.
some water, um, some leftover steak, some Anaheim peppers, and that was about it. Problem. But
Yep.
going back to what you were talking about earlier, I was telling my girl here that when I was in the service, like compared from there to now, especially mean that in being in that high stress environment,
Yep.
I feel a hell of a lot better. I mean, I have the experience to know I can push my limits,
Hmm.
whether it be physically, mentally, or I don't know, whatever the case may be. But
Yep.
like for me, when we did a test back then, I have a higher testosterone rate now than I did before, and I was
Oh yeah.
younger, like early 20s. So I mean, like for me, my blood flow is like optimal, and um, like I can get hard-ons like almost every 2 3 hours. Like being not there, and then the insomnia thing too. Like talking about insomnia, I had insomnia real bad. I stopped eating all the shit that I was, consuming. Oh, well, I forgot we were on YouTube, but
I'm not monetized.
the
I'm not worried
sugars.
about
Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, yeah. Like I stopped doing the sugars. I stopped drinking for a while. I stopped drinking pop. I just cut it all out. And, went cold turkey. It gave me a shock in my body, and I felt sick. But I just kept pushing through it. Like no shit. Like two months, nah, probably less than that. My skin got clear. My face got tighter. I didn't have a double chin no more. I didn't have like excess, fat on my arms. I do have some fat, but I make fat look good. So that's what I tell people. It's like you look
it.
skinny. It's like, well, I just make fat look good. So
Yeah.
um like you just got to keep going, like to instill that discipline in yourself like every day. It's not like, oh, this is not going to happen because XYZ.
Hmm.
It's a mental thing. You
Very much.
have to keep that. Yeah, you have to keep it on par every day. It's not like it's a skill like everything else. So you have to be able to. Oh shit! We got cops over here. You
Uh-oh.
have
You
to be able to. No, I just think I seen a bus getting pulled over. I don't know what's going on there. Anywho, um, you have to keep going at it like every day. That's
yeah.
not gonna happen overnight. Like when I give like weight loss programs, or how to drop your bad habits, and I tell them like you're gonna do a detox before you even start the program. It's like stop eating bread, start drinking water, lots of water as much as you can, and if you have to pee every fucking 15 minutes, go pee. You're not gonna pee everything out unless you're drinking nothing but water and coffee. Like you can have coffee but don't have too much,
Yeah.
like because you're going to give yourself the jitters. You're be anxious all the time. Like we were talking about the depression thing. I was depressed like 2 years ago with everything that was going on.
Hmm.
And like, I did that myself. The reason why I felt that low is because of what I was eating and what I was doing. I wasn't busy. I wasn't doing anything. I just felt sorry for myself, and I didn't make it any better. So you have to actually go make it better for yourself. If you're not working, or like for me, it wasn't an eating problem, it was not eating.
Yeah.
So at the same time, I was just eating junk too. Like I have, like I said, I have a better blood flow now. I can get erections like on command, and I can breathe. I can run around at like 9,000 elevation,
Yeah.
carry logs,
That's
take them down. Endurance
working at that
training.
elevation is hard.
Oh yeah, yeah. And like I don't get winded as easy. Like I'll just go for a walk or put on a pack, and I'm gone. So
Yeah.
like in that sense there you were talking about, those things that you have to have that strong mental fortitude in order to, keep going in life. And it doesn't matter how small or how big you think your problems are. You make your problems, however big or small they are.
Well, I mean, you've been on before. You're former military. We know that. So, having a good clean, like you guys eat, they feed you guys pretty good in the military, like pretty clean. They don't feed you guys a lot of junk. And I think it's because they understand the mental clarity of the difference between eating shit food and eating good food, the mental clarity involved. And,
Yeah.
when you're in the military and you possibly could see service, they need as sharp of guys as they can possibly get. So this is of utmost importance to them. So if they know enough to do this there, how is it not something we can be smart enough to take and apply in everyday life, right? So I'm just
that's half true.
Yeah,
it's half true because like when we go out like on missions, let's say we're going on a 2 or 3 week mission.
Yeah.
Like we can't have food that's readily available to eat. We have the meals ready to eat, which is the MREs.
Yeah.
And man, they have calories out the ass. If you eat like 2 of those cookies in there, you're gonna shit a brick, like the next day or maybe 2 days, or you won't shit at all. I mean, they shipped us out Rippets and these calories. I ate a whole stack of cookies and it had 6 of them in a pack. I think it was called Otis Spunkmeyer or whatever it was, but damn, there were like 700 calories per cookie. And I ate the whole thing in like one sitting. And of course, you're stressing your body, the actual stress, going out there, like doing, like, I don't know, 10 to 15 clicks a day with a pack, 80 pounds, whatever.
Yep.
Sweating hell. Like, of course you're moving, you're doing all that. Your stress is way up there. Not to mention the lack of sleep. I mean, that of course is you're gonna burn like everything else. But I wasn't eating healthy at all. Not there. Like I'm pretty sure none of us were, especially the ones that were around, because I lived off of cigarettes and then the Rippets. These little cans of energy drinks. So yeah. I mean, it's halfway true. But at the chow hall, yes, they do give you the portion sized and the government sized food, which wasn't enough, especially if you're in the rear with the gear and you have nothing to do but to lift and do your job. I mean, there's guys that lift and they look good, but when they tape out, especially on the neck, or the chest, it doesn't measure out because they consider you fat,
right,
or overweight. But you're lean, or you're not lean. You're muscular, and your uniform looks good. But those standards are kind of bullshit. It's all one standard throughout the whole thing. So it's I think it's very different.
Okay. So you mentioned something there as well that I kind of forgot and hadn't touched on. Didn't have it in my notes actually. Was water intake. How much water do you drink a day?
If I'm exerting myself, I will take as much water as possible. If I'm on a mountain, I'll actually drink from the stream until I need a pee, and then I drink some more, and then I go out and do because I'm constantly moving. So I would say about at least 3 liters.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going out and about, I don't eat, but I try to drink these little protein things. Mm-hmm. And then my water bottles, I have to have a water bottle with me, and I fill it up and refill it at these little stations at the places that I work at. You push the button and you fill it up, and I just drink 2 right off the bat, just 2 whole water bottles, and then I fill it up, take it with me, and I go. So I get at least 3 bottles, at each, I guess, place. So I would say about anywhere from 2 to 4 liters if I'm like exerting myself, but maybe about 3 average.
That's good.
Actually, I don't know which one was bigger, liters or quarts.
They're the same basically.
Yeah.
Not quite, but they're almost the same.
I can't do a whole gallon a day.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't do a whole gallon a day because I mean you have to drink it like every 2-3 hours, and you're like, oh man, I got pee. I don't sit at an office. I'm out there. I'm constantly um, on my feet.
Yeah.
And I did learn about a study where, but I seen a study where like if you're in an office or um, even at your own workstation, whether you're at home or not, it's better to
Yeah,
be standing than you are sitting.
it is.
It's that because that helps with the blood flow as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean it doesn't cost anything to stretch. So I mean
No.
I do that
Yeah.
whenever I
Stretching is free.
yeah oh yeah as much as I can, but I don't get a gallon.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to get the whole gallon.
Yeah. Cool. Right on. Well, thanks, Tony. Appreciate calling in, buddy.
Oh yeah,
Take it easy.
jump
Catch you
back
later.
on the other side.
Bye. All right. Had somebody else there, but we lost them. So, yeah, that was a good point that Tony touched on. I forgot to mention with this is, make sure you're drinking a lot of water. Keeps your blood flowing, keeps your blood diluted as well, so it doesn't get so thick and sludgy and hard to push around. But some of the other stuff here I had on some notes as far as the effects of being a food addict. And Tony mentioned one, reduced sex drive, headaches, lethargy, that kind of stuff. That's definitely a big thing. The hormone levels. I'm the same as Tony. When I was much overweight, my hormones weren't nearly as good as they are now. I'm also, with age and some things have gone on, I'm slightly optimized because I'm on some replacement therapy for other things as well. But just all in all, that stuff, that was one other thing in one of the studies I had read and forgot to put in here, was your general overall hormone levels when you're eating properly and less processed food, more clean food, and not overindulging, is your overall hormone levels will be better, which will help you feel better. It goes back to the whole thing of, like I said, that study that in Australia, when I was looking through that, and there was a couple of videos in there, and they were talking about it, the correlation between the stomach chemistry and digestive tract chemistry and the brain chemistry. I'm not a doctor or a scientist or anything like that, but the things they were going through on that was really amazing. Like it blew my mind away. I didn't even know that stuff back before when I was a fat bastard. And all I know is watching that and knowing where I'm at now, I'm glad in a much, much better place. But all in all, it goes back to that thing. Like I said, the real bitch about a food addiction is we have to eat, right? It's not like alcoholism or cigarettes or drugs or anything like that, where you can cut it out and you can live without it. You have to eat. You need to survive. So those are the big things personally that I found is if you're having trouble with that, surround yourself with people who are active and that are eating better, because if they're eating better, it's going to encourage you to eat better. If you have a problem with eating bad foods and eating too much, don't surround yourself with people that eat like that, because all it's going to do is encourage it. It's like anything in life. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So spend time with people who are, doing better at taking care of themselves, and you will too. Naturally, it just wears off on you. Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah, that's a fact. Did that show up? Nope. There we go. Do that. SSRIs suck for sex drive. They certainly do. How did I get off the SSRIs? So that was a conscious decision. Like I said, I felt like the NPC, non-playable character, that's what that stands for. I knew it would come to me sooner or later. See, the clarity of thought because of not having shit food. It came to me, even though I'm not a gamer. It was the realization that the effect it was having on me was negative overall. They say it's supposed to be good for you, but they said the Guguju shot was supposed to be good for you too. I think we know better. I'm not going to get kicked off, so I'm not going to come out and say what it was, but we all know what I'm talking about. This stuff messes with your brain chemistry in ways there's no possible way it's good for you. So I literally quit cold turkey. I didn't tell anybody. I just made the decision to do it. But I knew that there were going to be some harsh and sharp effects. So I shouldn't say I didn't tell anybody. I told one person, and we had a good long talk about it. And he was aware that I was going to do this, and he was going to be my go-to, my guy to call if I was ever in a position where, because it messes with your brain chemistry in a big way. If I was ever in that position where I felt I couldn't keep my head straight and I needed to get it out and I needed to talk, I wasn't going to go, cry to mommy or go find doctors and get back on this stuff. It was a conscious decision, and I quit cold turkey. And I kind of at the same, I cut out booze was something I did when I did that as well. So I stopped the SSRIs and I stopped the booze the same day. Like literally that was it. No more of either. They probably offset and helped each other. Maybe good, maybe bad. I don't really know. I certainly wouldn't want to try either one. Yeah. Yes, it did. It really did. It took probably a week or two before it did. And then it really messed with my head for, I would say, I had probably 2 to 3 really hard weeks. Very difficult. Not necessarily like the, going away by myself thoughts, anything like that. It wasn't anything like that. It was just coming off of them. I guess the way to put it was the whole effect of the SSRIs, the way they made me feel. Like for me personally, it made me feel like that NPC, the non-playable character, where I was watching myself walk through life in slow motion, and I couldn't always control everything. So I went from feeling like that to the real mind fuck from coming off of them was I went from being somewhat in a quote unquote vegetative state to within a couple of days, once I really transitioned, about a week and a half in, something like that. It was like I went from that state to having emotions for the first time in my life, so to speak. Like everything hit me, and from all different directions, literally happiness, sadness, depression, all kinds of emotions. Like, I'd cry for no damn reason whatsoever. It was a serious mind fuck. The good part was being a truck driver and kind of living life alone is I went through this without anybody really seeing it. When I needed to talk, I made a phone call, talked to my friend, everything was arranged. We did. It lasted really hard for probably 2 or 3 days. And then it took me about a week or two to kind of stabilize that stuff out. And I'd say it took me maybe 3 months from there to get to the point where I could once again master my emotions, where it's like, okay, I can feel this coming on. I recognized it. I could recognize it. So I knew how to prepare for it. I knew how to handle it. I knew how much time I needed for each particular thing when it hit me. Like, if it was, like a feeling of guilt emotion would hit me or something. I knew that a feeling of guilt was going to hit me hard and heavy and was probably going to last for 20 to 30 seconds. So I needed to literally turn the world off so that I could focus on pushing that back for a good 20 to 30 seconds to keep it at bay, to get it to the point where I could then at that point manage it and control it and move forward in life. Depression, it comes and goes, still does. Still to this day. My incident happened damn near 20 years. We're 19 years, 11 months, and 10 days away. almost on 20 years. And I still fight it. It's still there. I'm much better at controlling it. I have my bad days, just like everybody else. I have my friends and my people I reach out to when I need to. I have my own ways of dealing with it myself as well. And it's somewhat similar to the SSRIs of learning to recognize what it is when it's coming at you. And that is the biggest thing. Is the SSRIs, it comes at you, you're numb to the world, and it passes through you, and you kind of like, oh, yeah, there it was. Who cares? But when it goes away, it comes in and it hits you. It's a freight truck and it smacks you right square in the face. And that's the hard part. So you have to prepare yourself to be ready to recognize these so that when they come, you can put your hands up and you can brace it and you can catch it on its way in, let it back you up a couple of steps, whatever you have to do, and push back and stabilize yourself. Because that's largely the way I guess I can describe for personally how it affected me and the swing on that. If you want to talk about that or something after or later, whatever, we can do that too. Which, by the way, guys, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe and that kind of stuff. If you like the content or, you got some crap in life you're going through yourself, we all do. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're at in life. I've got friends and people that I network with that are insanely successful, and we'll leave it at that. And they go through hard times and they deal with crap. The same stuff that we all go through, the same stuff I go through, just on a much higher level. But it's the same stuff. So, if you need a place to go, you want to surround yourself with people that deal with this shit and know how to deal with it. That's the biggest thing. Know how to deal with it. Join my community and come on in. We do chats afterwards. We got one going on tonight. I've actually got a big announcement for my guys here tonight. So I hope everybody tunes in afterwards. Just replying to a message from one of the guys here. So, surround yourself with people like that. Know that these things are they're going to get you, and they get everybody differently. That's kind of the hard part is with all of it is what works for me is maybe not necessarily what's going to work for you. Understanding it and knowing, like, if you're going to do this, I can tell you right now, the doctors are going to tell you not to. They're going to do everything they can to discourage you, and they're going to try to slowly wean you off and drag it on for months or years. And like when I first started talking about coming off of it, first of all, my doctors were completely against it. They didn't even want to discuss it. And when they did, they were talking at least a year. And so when I decided I was going to do it, I just kept getting the prescription and throwing them in the garbage, and they just didn't know. I decided to do it. I was married at the time. I didn't tell her. I just did it. And when she realized I was off of them, she didn't like it because I was no longer manipulatable and controllable. So there's a positive. There's going to be some negatives coming off of it, and there's going to be some positives. The negatives are the emotions are going to be a bitch. They're going to be hard to deal with, and they are going to hit you like a wrecking ball. But that's all right, because we need to learn to deal with that, and we should. The positives are you're going to get your life back. You're going to be in control. You're no longer going to be that, reacting half of a second too late kind of a thing, or be like, geez, I wish I would have reacted to that a little sooner. I wish I'd have been able to see that coming a little better. You will when you get off of these things, because the brain chemistry changes and things start to fire. Synapses start to fire in better orders and faster. And you can think faster, you think clearer, all this stuff. Like they're a bad thing. I don't know how this stuff, quite frankly, is legal, but it's done by the big pharma and the drug companies, and they are the legal drug companies. They are the legal drug dealers, and they get away with it, and they do it in broad daylight, unlike the other ones that hide in the street corners. So, yeah, and that's exactly what it is. You live to fight another day, and a lot of it is exactly that. And it doesn't matter who you are. that's one of the biggest things I've learned in the last 20 years going through the situations that I went through, the shit that I've dealt with. I've dealt with a lot of shit, an awful lot of shit. Is we all go through it, different levels, and that's the biggest thing is understand you're not alone. You're gonna go through life at times alone. Surround yourself with people who are good people, have your back. Your networks, your communities. You do that, and you can get through anything. I'm proof. In all reality, if you look at some of the crap I've gone through, I shouldn't be here. We've discussed that previously. I shouldn't be here. But I am. And I'm going to be here tomorrow and the day after that. So, it is exactly that. Live to fight another day. Because it's going to hit you. It's going to hit all of us one way or another. Guess what? Every time you beat it, you get a little bit stronger and you get a little bit better at dealing with it. That's one of the biggest things as well about coming off of that is in the beginning, it's going to get rough. But if you pay attention to what's going on, a big thing is depending on what kind of person you are, how you are. Some people journal, some people take notes. For the longest time, I did just little bullet point notes to keep track of it, to understand what was affecting me, how it was affecting me. And when I reacted like this, I got that result. When I reacted like that, I got this result. And I started to learn what worked for me and how to deal with it. And I'm much better at it today than I was then. But it's like anything. You're going to learn. There's going to be some bumps and bruises along the way, but you know that you're in my community. Anytime you need to, we're there. Chat. Come on and fire it up. So anyhow, I thought somebody else was going to come on, but had a caller that dropped off and then hasn't come back. So let's run through the comments, see what I got here. It's a bugger about having the glasses taken them on, putting them off, so you can't always see. Yeah, Steph, the Frenchman. 12 sandwich eating oversized ghetto body. That was me. Size 68 pants. Not quite. It was size, the hell was it? I think I got up to a 42 or something like that. The cool part is I actually still have those pants. They are my shop pants. They are my work pants for when I'm doing crap around the shop. And I literally can take them with the belt that was on them. And I put them on because I don't care if they get dirty or greasy. I can put them on over top of my current pants without undoing them. That's the cool part. That's how much weight I lost. That's no bullshit. That's a no bullshit story. If I was thinking, I would have brought them up here and I could have had them and put them on and show you. I literally still have those pants. I have lost so much weight that I can literally leave my jeans on I've got right now, take those pants, button done up, zipper done up, belt on the belt notch of what it was then, and slide them up over top of these pants right now. That's, yeah, there's a big difference and a very good feeling in that. So anyhow, that's about what I got for tonight. If we don't have any more callers, and like I say, if you're part of my community, head on over to the chat. We're going to open that up here right away. And we've got a very, very special guest coming in over there tonight. And he's got a presentation for us and some announcements. And this stuff is going to be quite fun. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm excited to tell you guys all about it. It's stuff that we can't say here on YouTube's because we don't need to get banned and kicked off, even though that's why I curse and swear. I don't really care. I'm not monetized. What are they going to do? Knock me down and take the revenue away? I don't have any. Which is why, do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe, share this with some friends. Let's try and build this thing. Like it's the community is getting good. It's getting fun. It's growing every day. And we've got some fun stuff going to be happening tonight. So I look forward to talking to you guys about it over there and sharing with it. So I will see you over there shortly. I'm just going to run to the bathroom and meet you in there. Have yourselves a great night. I'm going to.